Welcome to Ag Matters, covering positive agriculture stories from across Alaska on Big Cabbage Radio.
All right. Hello, everybody. You're listening to Ag Matters. I'm your host, Ken Hoffman. I'm an owner of a small farm out here in Palmer called Matsu Microgreen, and I'm also the executive director of the Matsu chapter of the Alaska Farm Bureau. If any of you out there are interested in joining the Farm Bureau or want to learn more about it, please feel free in emailing me at matsufarmbureau@gmail.com, or you can visit our website at alaskafb.org. So, for today's show, we have two guests joining us from out in Willow. We have Sean and Ammon. So Sean and Ammon, if you guys wouldn't mind starting off the show with talking about your farm, the story of your family out there in Willow, how you guys got started, why you're interested in agriculture, just let us know everything about it.
Alrighty, so we're two of a family of 7 kids. We used to live in Alaska way back when, moved up here in 98, and we were down in the lower 48 for a number of years, and we were doing like lots of other things. But about 5 years ago, we were like, we should farm. It's kind of always been a dream that we had. We didn't really know what we wanted to do with it or to what extent, But we watched a movie. It was a documentary that came out about a farm in California that I'm sure you've heard of called, what's that?
The Biggest Little Farm.
Biggest Little Farm. And it follows the story of this couple that decided they wanted to farm in California and everything. And it really inspired us to want to get our hands dirty in the literal sense of the term, I guess. And so we looked for land, and nothing was really working out where we were. And then we were like, well, what if we moved back to Alaska? And so we decided, what the heck? And we found about 70 acres up here in Willow and moved up here in 2020. And we just started farming. And we still don't really know what we're doing, but we're figuring it out, little by little. And we've been able to grow into something pretty awesome.
Excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
So I know that you guys have a bakery out there at the farm too, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
we
and
do.
then you guys also
we do.
farm. So what products do you guys develop out there at the farm?
So currently we have chickens as our main farm product as far as like the farm goods. We have 250 chickens that are laying eggs consistently right now. We sell those to a health food store in Anchorage and to some people locally. And we are moving into that being a bigger business where we have our final 700 chicks are coming this Monday. So we're going to end up with about 1,200 chickens by the end of the fall that are going to be laying eggs. And so we'll be providing not only to that health food store in Anchorage, but to hopefully 300 to 400 families throughout the Valley and Willow area. So that's like one of our big staples is eggs. We do like a no corn, no soy egg just because we found like that was a need for it. And it's just a healthier feed in general. Pretty cool stuff. And then our goal, obviously, is to expand beyond that. But other things we're currently doing is the baked goods. So we have our mom, April, and our sister, Megan, run the bakery, and they do everything from sourdough, the classic artisan sourdough bread that's just really beautiful looking and tastes delicious. And then they do, sandwich breads. They do focaccias. People love the focaccia. And then just depending on the season, different types of desserts. Right now they're doing lots of cinnamon rolls just because they started doing that. It's amazing. And I think for Easter they're doing a carrot cake that is to die for. I don't know how much of it they'll sell because we might just eat all of it, Ammon and I, out of the fridge before they can make it to the customers.
But we bought this acreage, and everybody in the family has something else that they offer. You know what I mean? My brother does videography. My sister and my mom are excellent bakers, and my dad is a builder. So we all just kind of bring it to the table, and we're trying to make things happen, right? So we've got the bakery, we've got chickens, and we're selling eggs, and we also have honeybees. So we installed 10 hives earlier this week, and we'll be installing 10 more today, actually. And then moving forward, we'll be going into pigs and cows and everything, but that'll probably be a little bit later this year that we'll get back into pigs.
Yeah, we did pigs for a couple of years and loved it. Then we just wanted to downsize so we had time to expand the chickens. Yeah, kind of like I think our motto is just jump in, learn as much as you can, but don't let that stop you. Just kind of jump in without knowing everything because there's no other way to learn really. And we just kind of want to have a regenerative farm, and we don't want to wait 50 years to do it, So we're just jumping in on all the different fronts we want to.
Wow. Okay. So you guys there's a lot going on at that farm. You have a bakery, you're producing eggs, you're producing meat, you're doing the bees. Specifically with the bees, who did you say was doing the videography?
I am Sean.
Sean, okay.
Yeah.
Well, your beekeeping video on YouTube, excellent. And the production value,
Thank you.
it was beautiful. Anyone who's interested in beekeeping, go watch that video. It's excellent. So very exciting, and you guys are hiving bees today. That's a lot of fun. What kind of bees do you guys like to hive? Which strain?
We're currently we've been exploring different breeds over the past few years. Right, this year we're doing a mixture of Russians and Buckfast. So far we've had really good luck with the Buckfast, and we like the Russians because they're from Russia, I guess, apparently. So they do a lot better up here because it's cold.
But we wanted to winter our bees over for the last few years, and we haven't been successful with wintering them over just yet. I think probably partially because we're in Willow, and so it gets to -40 longer than it does in like the valley. But we've been trying lots of different methods, and our hope this year is we're going to try, at least 1 or 2 hives to winter them over the Russian bees, or maybe we're going to do 10. I don't know. We'll see. But we're because they're more of a northern bred type of bee, we're hoping that it'll handle our climate better.
But,
and so we're going to see how that goes. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're trying different breeds.
we're just trying to see which ones work better because each type brings a different characteristic, right? And we've had better years with some and worse with others, so we just are sticking with what we like. And it's been the same thing with chickens. We've messed around with a couple of different breeds, and we've stuck with a couple that we consistently like. But
wow. So regarding the chickens, what breeds do you guys like, or is it a trade secret?
Not a trade secret. We don't believe in those. So we're doing Novagens and color packs right now. So it's just a particular hybrid chicken that lays up to I think 320 eggs a year thereabouts. So it's almost an egg a day. The thing is, it's a hybrid, right? So we can't actually breed them as you could a heritage chicken that's, maybe not. But the thing is, we're trying to go for what is going to pump out as many eggs as possible. Mm-hmm. And it's also hardier chicken. So it's, they do really well over the winter. Can't get as many years out of them. You maybe get 3 years out of these guys, and you have to, sell them or recycle and get a new batch. Yeah, so we have, and then the color packs are, it's also a hybrid that lays quite a few eggs, but they lay like a green egg or a dark, or a light blue egg, robin egg color, because we like that dark brown mixed with the blue and green, because as you know, those eggs are actually better for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more colorful they are, the healthier they are.
Better for you than white eggs.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard that before. So when you guys get a new batch of chickens, do you guys get them as baby chicks, or do you get them pretty much ready to lay?
We get them as baby chicks, and we've kind of toyed around with that over the past few years, but we've decided that we get them as quick from the hatchery as possible, because we want to have a hand in their growth. You know what I mean? Because you don't know where they came from or whatever. And sometimes we've gotten them older, but we've settled to just getting them as quickly from the hatchery as we can, and then we raise them all here.
Yeah. Well, the thing was we tried unsuccessfully to raise them from day one initially, but we had the wrong methods for raising them, and so we just had a higher loss than we really wanted. And so we found somebody that would raise them for us, and we're like, this works great. But then that didn't quite. Then we wanted to go beyond like kind of what they could handle for their space, because we're doing 300 chicks at a time. I think we're going to settle at about 7. I think we're going to end up doing about 500 to 600 at a time in the future. Is how many we'll raise at a time, and there isn't really people that can raise that many. And so we were like, okay, we got to figure it out. So we recently, just in this last batch, finally found a mentor that helps us to understand how to raise them properly, so there's very minimal loss. And so we've done really well in this last batch. We're really excited about it.
But that's why I say we're still trying to figure out how to do everything, because we're always learning. You never really know 100% about anything. You know what I mean? So
for sure, yeah,
cool.
That's what I love about agriculture.
Process.
Yeah. You guys get the chicks, you raise them yourself. How many months is it from chick to an actual producing hen?
About 6 months.
6 months.
And then they, before they're fully producing. And I would say like maybe give it another month before because they start laying little eggs, and they get bigger, and probably around 6-7 months is where they're big enough to sell.
Okay.
unless you have a market
Wow.
for small eggs. Yeah,
So where do
so
you
it's a
purchase
bit of an
your
investment.
chicks from? Where do you purchase your chicks from?
Is that a trade secret, Sean?
That's a good question. Maybe we do see trade secrets. Well, it's from a hatchery in the lower 48. We'll say that for
Okay.
now.
It's actually kind of developing because they're kind of recently selling to Alaska, so we're not 100% sure how the company that we purchased from wants to proceed with their
That's
relationship with farmers in Alaska. So kind of as we know more, we'll come out more about that. I guess we do have trade secrets. How about that? But there's a number of hatcheries in the lower 48 that does Nova gens.
There isn't anybody out here that there's people that have resold them, but there's nobody out here that has a hatchery, and that is one of our goals. I don't know. There's only so many things you can become an expert at, but we would like to have at least a heritage breed that we breed. That because everything about the farm is the goal to be independent of everybody else, essentially, or at least codependent, interdependent in Alaska, right? Because, the supply chain is pretty easy to cut off here in Alaska. You stop the barges, and the airplanes, and you don't really get anything anymore. And so we'd love to have a heritage breed that if something like that happened, we could totally replace our entire flock and continue to keep supplying food for people here in Alaska. So
Excellent. So where can people purchase your eggs?
So we sell them at Natural Pantry in Anchorage. That's one place you can purchase them if you aren't already. And then otherwise, just directly from us is kind of because that Natural Pantry is going to max out about, I think, 200 dozen a week is where they'll max out as far as, it could be more, if everybody starts showing up, right? And the rest we're going to sell directly to customers. So we have a delivery route that we pair up with the bakery. So they stop in Willow, they stop in Wasilla, they stop in Eagle River, and in Anchorage.
And we'll be Palmer as well in the end of this year.
Yeah, it'll be Palmer. So we'll have 5 different drop points. Here actually very soon, I'm working on the website right now to where people can start pre-purchasing a subscription for eggs. We'll basically just sell like a year subscription is what you'll sign up for, and you'll just pay every month for, however many dozen eggs you're getting, if it's a dozen a week or a couple dozen a week, that kind of thing. Then you can sign up for that for subscription, and you'll have eggs for a year. And we'll have about 300 slots that will be open come September that will be pre-selling soon. So, yeah.
We figure just about everybody's got a subscription to Netflix, so why not have a subscription to Farm Fresh Eggs?
Might as well. And if anybody's interested in that, they can reach out to us. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram. They can, they can find us on Google Maps even for First Colony Farms Alaska. You can search us up. We're pretty easy to find on the internet. And so you can just reach out to us and let us know, and we will get you on our list.
Okay, excellent. Very good. And so now I want to switch gears. Last time I saw you guys was at the Homestead Expo at the Menard Center.
Yes, sir.
Huge success. And I want to hear all about what you guys thought about the expo, some takeaways, what you guys were doing at the expo. I know you guys were playing music. So, yeah, let us know what you thought.
It was cool. The thing that hit me, I guess that stuck out to me for the most part in the whole event was just seeing how many people are interested in knowing more about their food, you know what I mean, where it comes from, people that are interested in growing it themselves, being more connected with that community here, if that makes sense. I met a lot of really cool people. I met this guy named Ken selling microgreens, pretty cool guy. And just made a lot of really cool connections. And then obviously it was great to hear from Joel Salatin, not just his sermon on Sunday. That was so cool. And we were able to do a little bluegrass gospel concert with him. And he gave a beautiful sermon about David and Goliath. And then later just, hearing him talk about practical farming advice and homestead advice. And it was really cool and really encouraging just to see how many people are interested in these things here in Alaska and willing to take like a whole weekend to come and be a part of it. There's so many people I met that came up from Homer or just down 5-hour drive from Wasilla, and they came up there for the whole weekend just to go be a part of it and learn more and network, et cetera.
Yeah, speaking of networking, I think that's like one of my big takeaways is just seeing how many people are interested in farming, homesteading, knowing about their food, how they can be food independent. I think that one of the things that Joel Salatin talked about in his second lecture on that Sunday was he talked about the importance of like the interdependence and working together to support each other, So like we have, the more people we have in Alaska that are producing their own food, we're focusing on chickens and we're going to be able to handle a few things. But if we had some other dairy farmers, like there's the dairy farmer up north, Alaska Range Dairy, that's supplying a lot of Alaska now, doing really well. If we had a couple more dairy farmers, a handful, 10, 20, 30 more chicken farmers, if everybody kind of does what they can and we work together, we can create a really solid, food independent Alaska and just create better quality food and better health for our entire state, for each other. So it's not necessarily I think sometimes in Alaska we come out here to be alone, right, and to get away and off the grid, right? But it's important to be interdependent together to help each other to work towards that and to help each other, have the food, the kind of environment we want for food here in Alaska.
For sure. Yeah, I always say that for food security, true food security, we don't need mass production in Alaska. We need production by the masses. We need more folks getting into small-scale agriculture and supplying food for not just their families or their neighborhoods, but larger communities and cities. And I think that's the way to go. And you guys are really living it. Really proud of your guys' family. So many enterprises. I can't imagine. Eggs, bees, animals. It's exciting. And so I want to hear about what's the next step. What big plans do you have this summer and maybe in the next 5 years? What do you guys foresee the farm becoming?
To quote Alan York from that movie, The Biggest Little Farm, diversify, diversify, diversify. That's so like we've kind of been putting all energy for this past year into the chickens, right? Because we're trying to make a home for 1,000 to 1,200 chickens. Figure that out. So we had to put a pause on our pig operation, our turkey, and our broiler operation, and everything. So we're once we get our feet under us with these chickens, which we're about there, our plan is just to diversify, man. We want to get back into pigs. We've got a ton of land that we're trying to clear, filled with saplings and roots and things, and so we're going to get a bunch of pigs to start clearing that land and also give some people some ham and bacon, and we're just going to keep expanding. We once we get all this pasture cleared and everything, we're going to be getting cows and we're going to be doing the broilers more and everything. But right now the plan right now is to finish with these chickens and then get back into some of these other enterprises, like you're saying.
We have the big barn that we built. It's about 70 by 100 feet, so about 7,000 square feet, and we're only using half of it for the chickens. So that whole barn's going to be finished early summer. And though the other half we can use for the pigs, right? That's kind of I think where we're leaning right now is getting more pigs, and so we could probably put 30, 40 pigs on that one side and start raising them again. We can put them out on the field with some electric fencing, and then have good winter quarters for them. So that's been this year that's like our biggest step up is finishing this barn. So not only can we have the chickens, but we can start to expand into some of our other operations. And then over the next 5 years, like Ammon was saying, diversifying. I think one of our goals in diversifying is, and also, being independent. I don't know if this is the next 5 years, the next 10 years. I would hope the next 5 years is to start to grow our own feed. At the very least, once we get cows, we'd like to grow our own hay for those cows, lease some land up here in Willow or up in Talkeetna. We bought some heavy equipment, and we have a buddy that has some balers and all that stuff, and we're planning on working together with. So starting to supply ourselves with our own feed options is kind of our hope, so that we can just know where it's coming from 100% and grow it with stuff that we really like, the different ingredients and what's the word I'm looking for?
The ingredients, supplements that we want.
Not corn, but the grains we want. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah.
Excellent. Wow. Well, thank you so much, guys. Next time I'm in Willow, I'm going to have to stop by. This sounds like an amazing place. So to recap, if you wouldn't mind letting the listeners know how we can support you, where we can buy your products, and where we can follow you on social media.
Yeah. So you can find us anywhere, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, First Colony Farms, Alaska. Not the second or the third, but the First Colony Farms. And as far as, looking for our products, John is finishing setting up our website. Reach out to us on Messenger, or you can find our number and just send us a text or give us a call, and we'll update you guys But here in the next few months, we will be finalizing everything with that, and you can get on our weekly delivery route for eggs, for honey, and for baked goods. So just find us on social media and reach out and become a part of the family.
Well, thank you guys. It was a pleasure, gentlemen. Hope to talk to you guys later. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Ken. We appreciate your time, man.
You've been listening to Ag Matters, covering positive agriculture stories from across Alaska. Ag Matters is a production of Radio Free Palmer, recorded at our studios in Palmer, Alaska. For more information about this program, email manager@radiofreepalmer.org.